Want to know if your English skills are improving and what your real learning level is? Get your language skills assessed with our free level assessment test. Just click the link in the description and sign up for a free lifetime account to get assessed. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about 25 must-know intermediate phrases. Let's get started. These are some intermediate level phrases that you can use in everyday life. You can use them when you travel, at work, in your studies. So I hope that they're helpful for you. They're for asking and answering questions. So after you learn these phrases, check out the link in the description where you can make an account at EnglishClass101.com and practice your English even more. All right, let's get started. How's it going? How's it going? You'll notice with how's it going that there's an apostrophe at the end of this. It's not how's it going or how is it going. If you say how is it going, it sounds too stiff. It doesn't sound so friendly. So we say how's it going? How's it going? How's it going means how are you? Like how are you doing? Or how is your life going? So it's like a friendly, kind of rougher, more casual way to say how are you? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going with you? Fine. See, that's the correct response. How's it going? Fine. How's it going? Good. How's it going? Not bad. How's it going? How's it going? Okay, let's go on to the next expression. What have you been up to? 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 What have you been up to is a more advanced version of like, what are you doing? So what have you been up to means what did you do since the last time I saw you? What have you been up to? So what have you been up to? It's like, I've been blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about this in the next expression. So what have you been up to? Or what have you been doing is another popular variation. What have you been up to? How have you been? How have you been? How have you been? More naturally. How have you been? Sounds like how have you been in everyday speech. So how have gets reduced to how of. How have you been? How have you been? How have you been since the last time I saw you is what this means. How have you been? So that you sound also gets shorter. How have ya been is kind of what it sounds like if I slow it down a lot. How have you been? How you been, you might also hear too. So this means since the last time I saw you, what has your condition been like? Good? Bad? Busy? In most cases, the answer is just good. You?
Fine.
Fine. Anyway, moving along. I've been blah, blah, blah. I've been. This is the reduced form of I have been something, something. This is a good response to questions like, how have you been? Or what have you been up to? Numbers 2 and 3 in this episode. So if someone says, what have you been up to? You can say, I've been busy, or I've been working, I've been studying, I've been planting a garden in front of my house, I've been looking for a new car, I've been making videos on the internet. So I've been blah, blah, blah. So I've is short for I have been. So this is a present perfect tense expression. I've been something, something. You can use the progressive form. You can use an adjective here. You can use whatever suits your situation. So yeah, what have you been up to? I've been sleeping a lot. How about something, something? How about dinner? How about drinks? How about we do this later? How about something? This is a very simple and easy way to make a suggestion to someone. How about blah, blah, blah. So in fast speech, how about sounds like how about, how about, how about we, how about you, how about I, how about. So the A sound kind of disappears. How about we see a movie later? How about we go to the beach this weekend? How about we take a trip to Guam? How about we bake cookies? How about we go on to the next expression? Okay, sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't. So sorry, I cannot. This is a way to refuse an invitation. So to say, no, I cannot do that thing and I feel bad about it. Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't. So like, sorry, I can't, you can add like the thing you are refusing if you like. You could say, sorry, I can't go to the beach with you this weekend. Or sorry, I can't meet you for dinner tonight. I have to work late. Sorry, I can't help you make your treehouse. I broke my leg. That was very specific. Sorry, I can't cook dinner tonight because I don't know how to cook. When you want to refuse and you maybe don't want to give specific reasons, you can say, sorry, I can't. I used this recently. Sorry, I can't go. Sure, sounds good. Sure, sounds good. So, sure, sounds good. You can put those two together. Sure means yes. Sounds good means like your idea seems to be a good thing. Like I'm hearing your idea. It sounds like a nice idea. So this is a good way to accept an invitation. Sure, sounds good. Or sounds nice, sounds great, sounds awesome, sounds cool, sounds fantastic. You can change your adjective there if you like. Sure, sounds rad. Do you want to something something? Do you want to something something? Do you want to plus an activity? Like, do you want to get dinner? Do you want to go for drinks? Do you want to ride bikes? Do you want to make videos for the internet? Do you want to study English with me? Do you want to, I don't know, do you want to get a Charizard tattoo? Already has one. Do you want to is a friendly and easy way to make an invitation for some kind of activity. When we say this expression, we kind of put the sounds together. So not do you want to, but do you wanna, do you wanna, do you wanna, do you wanna? So you can imagine, it's like D apostrophe Y-A W-A-N-N-A. Do you wanna, do you wanna? Not do you want to, but do you wanna? Do you wanna go to the next one? I do. What do you call this? What do you call this? So when you don't know the vocabulary word for something, or you just forget it, you can use this expression. What do you call this? So again, that do you becomes reduced. Do you becomes dia. What do you call this? So to call something is like to name something. What is the name you use for this thing? So what do you call this? Like, what do you call this? What do you call that? What do you call these? What do you call this? So you can use that when you don't know the word for something, when you find something new as well. How do I get to location? How do I get to? So how do I get to, for example, the station? How do I get to this hotel? Means, what is the path I should take to arrive at that destination? How do I get to the beach from here? How do I get to my house from here? Or how do I get to the bar from here? How do I get to work from here? So how do I get to is a much more natural way to ask for directions to someplace. So don't use how do I go or how do I travel, I guess, but how do I get to a location? And don't forget your to. Also, remember, we use that preposition to before the specific place name. So a problem that I hear a lot is how do I go to there? So we don't use to before there because there is not a specific place. How do I get to the station? A station is a specific place, or a hotel is a specific place. There is not a specific place, so we cannot use to with there. So how do I get there? It's fine, no to. How do you get to the next one? By scrolling down on the iPad. All right, let's go to the next one. Have a nice evening. Have a nice evening. Have a nice evening is a way to say goodbye at the end of the day. Many learners use good night at the end of the day, like with coworkers or maybe leaving a restaurant, like good night. We use good night when we're like saying goodbye to our kids or like when we're actually in bed, like with a spouse or like your partner, or maybe you say it to your children or something like that, good night, just before you go to sleep. When you want to say goodbye at the end of the day, use have a nice evening, have a good evening. That's a much more like natural and polite way to say goodbye at the end of the day. Have a nice evening. Have a good one, have a good one, have a good one. Have a good one means have a good day. So one here means day. Have a good day or have a good time or like have a good experience until I see you again. Have a good one or have a nice one. I think have a good one is probably the most common. Have a good one. So friendly, kind of polite-ish, I suppose. You can use this with your coworkers, with your friends, with your family members. But it does have, there's a little bit of distance there, I think. Have a good one. Okay, onward. Can I have item, please? Can I have item, please? Can I have something, please? So when you're shopping, you can use this to request something from the person working at the store. So can I have that shirt, please? Or can I have, for example, 200 grams of beef, please? Or can I have that pack of cigarettes, please? So you can use any item in this pattern. Can I have that thing, please? You can use singular, you can use plural, you can use a number here if you want, but can I have? And to make this more natural, not can I have that thing, please, but can I have? Can I have? Can I have is kind of more natural. Can I have sounds like can I have? Can I have this iPad? Yes. Yes? Oh, I got an iPad today. Number of the noun, please. This is used again when shopping and maybe specifically when you're buying things in quantity. So that means, for example, like when you're shopping for food, you maybe need to buy like fresh meat or a fresh fish, for example, and you want a certain quantity, a certain amount of something. You can use number of the noun, please. So I used the example before, like 200 grams of the beef, please. So you're buying things in bulk. When you're buying in bulk, it means you're buying a lot of stuff at one time. You can use an expression like this. Of course, even if you're not buying in bulk, you can use this, like 2 of the blue ones, please. You can use that as well. So this is just a simple pattern to use when shopping. Number of the noun, please. How do I plus your verb phrase. So we talked about the expression, how do I get to a place? This is how do I something. So not get, but how do I, and then use a verb here. So one thing I hear learners do when they don't know how to do something is they use an expression like, please teach me this thing, or I don't know this. So to make a request for someone to show you something, you can use this pattern. How do I use this computer? Or how do I turn on this car? How do I sell my kidney on the internet? How do I learn English? That's what a lot of people say. Just do it is the answer. So how do I plus your verb. So that's a much better way than please teach me. Use how do I learn English? How do I study grammar? How do I read books? So use just the simple present tense form of the verb in this one. Again, another point here, pronunciation point. How do I becomes how do I? How do I? How do I do this? How do I do that? How late are you open? How late are you open? This is very useful when you're visiting restaurants or bars or like retail shops as well. The most natural way to ask what time a store or other establishment finishes is how late are you open? How late are you open? So if you ask this question, you will get the closing time as the answer. Like, how late are you open? 8. How late are you open? 10. How late are you open? Midnight. Or how late are you open? We're open 24 hours. The internet is open forever. We have no closing time here at English Class 101. We're accessible always. How late are you open? So how late are you? So that are you is reduced. How late are you open? Are you sounds like how late are you open? We do not say how late are you closed. We don't say that. You could say when do you close? That's also okay. When do you close? But how late are you open? Do you have any plans for point in time? Do you have any plans for point in time? Do you have any plans for this weekend? Do you have any plans for tomorrow? Do you have any plans for tomorrow night? Do you have any plans for dinner? So choose a point in time, or kind of like I did with dinner. You can use meals here too. Choose a point in time to ask about another person's schedule. Don't forget for in this example. Do you have any plans for point in time? Do you have any plans for Sunday afternoon? Do you have any plans for Monday? So this is a quick way to ask about a schedule. Very nice, and it's kind of polite as well. Okay, on to the next one. My body part hurts. My body part hurts. This is an important and natural expression to use when you are not feeling well. So instead of like, I have a pain in my arm or something, or I have a pain somewhere, I hear many learners use that pattern. Instead, use my plus your body part hurts. For example, my arm hurts, my head hurts, my finger hurts, my stomach hurts, my back hurts, my face hurts. Because I got punched in it this morning. It's not true. Have you ever punched yourself in the face?
Myself?
Yeah, I did it once and I'm never gonna forget it.
Probably yes.
Yeah, I was trying to pull like the blankets up. It was like 6 in the morning. I was cold, it was winter. I tried to pull the blankets up and my blanket was kind of like shiny and slick and I was like half awake and I was like, bam! So my body part hurts. My body part hurts. That's the quickest way to explain that you do not feel well in some way. My body part hurts. Don't forget that S. My body part hurts. My eyeball hurts. That's not something we would say. My ear hurts. My throat hurts. How much is this? How much is this? This is a cost-related expression when you are shopping. How much is this? How much is that? You probably don't need to use this so much because in most cases the price is clearly written in stores. But every once in a while you do need to ask or you need to like talk to someone about a price in a conversation. So how much is this or how much is that? You can change that. Of course, you can use the plural here. How much are these? How much are those? In present tense. And you can also ask about past tense information. How much was that? For example, how much was your car? Or how much was this apartment? Or how much were those donuts? This is a very important question. How much did your sandwich cost? You could ask that as well. How much does something cost is another expression you can use. But yeah, how much did your sandwich cost? It looks good. Or how much for a dozen burgers to be sent to my office tomorrow at 1 o'clock? What did you say? What did you say? Native speakers use this all the time. You can use this too. Please, it's important, probably more important for you to use this expression and don't feel bad about it. What did you say? Naturally, what did you say? What did you say? What did you say is a question about the thing the other person in the conversation just said. Like you couldn't catch it, or you think you misheard something, or maybe you didn't understand something they said. What did you say? It's a little more polite than just, what? So, what did you say? Yeah, anytime you need to confirm something that someone else said, you can use, what did you say? Try to use a nice intonation with this also. What did you say? What does that mean? What does that mean? And native speakers use this too. Like we don't understand everything. Like sometimes everybody needs an explanation. So what does that mean is a great way to ask for it. What does that mean in fast speech is, what does that mean? What does that mean? So the TH in that becomes like a S or a Z sound. What does that mean? So it connects to that Z sound in does. What does that mean? What does that mean? So what does that mean? It's like you don't understand something that's written, or maybe you don't understand the implications. Implications means like the background information of a situation. So what does that mean? Or you don't understand something someone else said, but they're gone. So you can't say, what did you say? You ask someone else, what does that mean? What that person just said, what does that mean? So what does that mean is another really important expression for learners especially. I don't feel so good. I don't feel so good. So if you don't want to specifically say like my stomach hurts or my arm hurts or my head hurts, you can say I don't feel so good. So this tends to be used more for like stomach problems. So I don't feel so good. I ate a huge lunch. I don't feel so good. Or maybe you ate something bad. Ugh, I don't feel so good. We often use I don't feel so good when we actually feel very bad very suddenly. Like in the examples I mentioned, when we eat something and our body is not happy with it and we suddenly feel sick, we might use the expression, I don't feel so good. I need to go home. So you can use this to talk about like a sudden and unpleasant feeling in your body. I don't feel so good. I need to go to location. I need to go to location. I need to go to location is useful for talking about errands. So errands is like small tasks you need to do throughout the day. We also use this expression when we need to visit the restroom urgently. So you can say, I need to go to the restroom. That's great. That's a very natural and polite way to talk about visiting the restroom. Otherwise, when you're talking about your daily tasks, you can say, I need to go to the bank. I need to go to the store. I need to go to the car wash. I need to go to the pet sitter and pick up my neighbor's poodle. What? That was very specific. So you can talk about your responsibilities with need to. Yes, you can substitute have to here. I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the store. Keep in mind also, when you want to use the negative form, I don't have to or I don't need to, you can, but make sure you use it with something you don't have a responsibility to do. I hear lots of learners use expressions like, I don't have to go to the bar today, for example. Like, if going to a bar is part of your regular responsibilities, like you work at a bar, or like part of your business is at a bar, fine. But if it's just something you occasionally do, it sounds really unnatural to use, I don't have to go to the bar today. So we use this in the negative form for things we can naturally and reasonably be expected to have responsibility to do. So keep that in mind when you use the negative form. Okay, onward. I have to. So my previous one was I need to go to a place. If you want to just talk in general about responsibilities, you can use I have to. I have to get up early in the morning. I have to study for my tests. I have to think of a new hairstyle for my cat. Yesterday I had to, past tense, I had to buy new clothes because my director was making fun of me for wearing shirts that they were falling apart on camera, because that's how much I love shopping. Yeah. So past tense, I had to buy new clothes yesterday, or I had to go out in the rain yesterday. So again, I had some responsibility to do that. So past tense, had to. When are we leaving? When are we leaving? I included this here because it's a common question, surprisingly, like when are we leaving? Not when do we go? That's one that I hear sometimes, like when do we go or when we go or something like that. Don't use those. Oh, sorry, Mr. iPad. The question is, when are we leaving? So we use this when we're at an event. We're at a party, we're maybe at work, whatever. You're going somewhere else with another person or with a group. When are we leaving? When are we leaving this place, in other words? So natural pronunciation, when are we leaving? When are we leaving becomes when are we leaving? Okay, so those are 25 must-know intermediate phrases. I hope that those are helpful for you. Many of the phrases that I introduced here are in present tense, but remember, you can use them in past tense and in future tense too. So don't stick only to present tense. Make sure to go outside of present tense and think about the different ways that you can use these expressions to talk about the past and the future. Okay, so that's everything for this lesson. Thanks very much for watching. Please make sure to click on the link in the description to learn more English at EnglishClass101.com. Also, if you liked the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you have not already. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Stevens. Did you take your free level assessment yet? Here's an extra bonus resource you'll get when you take the assessment. When you receive your result and learning level, you also unlock a free language course for your specific level, so you can start learning and level up your language skills. Just click the link in the description to get access.
Translate for me as you go along, so I can better understand how you want to be loved, how you want to be loved. Living it up, you came in on a high tide, calling to court all my fears, letting it go, this wild untried emotion. Say it loud and say it clear, but you know we could talk from dusk till dawn, and everything in my world would make sense. Rewind the night, let's get lost from dusk till dawn. Pause it in the perfect tense, and sing me your favorite song. Translate for me as you go along, so I can better understand how you want to be loved, how you want to be loved. Repeat it for me one more time now. Make it as slow as you dare, word by word, interpreting this emotion. Share as much, dear, as you can. But you know we could talk from dusk till dawn, and everything in my world will make sense. Rewind the night, let's get lost from dusk till dawn. Pause it in the perfect tense. Sing me your favorite song. Translate for me as you go along, so I can better understand how you want to be loved, 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 how you want to be loved.
Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this lesson, I'm going to give an introduction to English tenses. For this lesson, I'm going to give a short introduction to when to use each of the English tenses. I'm also going to share an example of what that tense looks like in a sentence or in a question. So this is just a quick guide. If you want more information about any of these tenses, you can try searching the YouTube channel or our website for a video specifically about one of these tenses. So I hope this is helpful for you. Okay, so let's get started. The first group of tenses I want to look at is the present tense. So for today's lesson, I've organized it into 3 categories: present, past, and future tenses. So let's begin with the present tense. So in each category, I have 4 different tenses. I have simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. You might know continuous as progressive. They mean the same thing. Continuous and progressive mean the same thing for this lesson. So let's begin with the present simple tense. Present simple tense is a tense we use for general facts, for regular actions, and for schedules. So this is stuff that doesn't change. Like he speaks English, for example. She doesn't speak Spanish. That's a simple fact. For regular actions, so things you do every day or every week, for example. And schedules, so that means like a bus or an airplane or maybe a car schedule, something that maintains a regular schedule. An example, 2 examples of using the present simple tense. First, I work on Mondays. So here, work is my verb. I work on Mondays. Simple present tense. A negative, I don't eat lunch at 2 o'clock. So these are simple present tense statements. In this case, they're just simple statements of fact, really. Okay, so let's continue to the next one. The second tense is the present continuous tense. The present continuous tense. So present continuous tense we use for continuing actions, and that means actions that are happening now. So for example, I'm teaching, I'm standing, I'm speaking. Those are actions happening now. So we use it for continuing actions now, like physical actions. We also use it for trends, so things happening in your society right now, for example. So examples would be like, that TV show is becoming popular, or the world is getting warmer, for example. So these are things happening now also. We can use it for one-time actions as well, and this relates a little bit to future tense, which I'm going to talk about later too. But something happening just one time in the future, we can use the continuous form to describe that. So for example, I'm working this Saturday. So sometimes students ask, what's the difference? Why is it I'm working this Saturday and not I work this Saturday? Remember, we talked about the present simple tense. We use that for regular actions, for general facts. So if you usually work on Saturdays, you should use the present simple tense. I work on Saturdays. If, however, this Saturday is special and you don't usually work on Saturdays, you should use the continuous tense. I'm working this Saturday. So it sounds like that's not a typical thing for you. I'm working this Saturday. Okay. Let's go on to the third tense. The third tense is the present perfect tense, the present perfect tense. So we use the present perfect tense for general life experience or lack thereof. So lack thereof means no life experience, not having a life experience. So something that you did in the past, but not at a specific point in time. The specific point in time is not so important here, or maybe we don't know. So example. A negative example, he has never been to Spain. He has never been to Spain. In this case, no life experience of going to Spain is what this means. So this is an example of present perfect tense. Here we have he has. Remember, we need to attach has or have before our past participle verb form here. So for more information about this tense, you can check the channel. There's more information there. So let's continue on to the next tense now. The next tense is the present perfect continuous tense. Present perfect continuous. We use this tense for actions that started in the past and continue to the present. So something you started doing in the past, some point in the past, it's not always important when, but that action continues. So you use this a lot to talk about your studies, for example. We use words like for and since and maybe ago with this as well. So an example of this, I've been studying English for 2 years. So here we see I've been. This I've is the contracted, the reduced form of I have. I have been studying. So this is the continuous or the progressive form. In this case, I've used the word for. I've used for because I'm using 2 years, which is a length of time. We can use since. For example, I've been studying English since 2016. So we use since before a specific point in time. We can use ago as well. Usually we pair it with since. I've been studying English since 2 years ago. You'll notice when we use ago, however, we change from using, in my first example, 2016 to a length of time, since 2 years ago. So there are a few different changes you need to make there. But you can check the other video on the channel for more information about that grammar point. Okay, let's move on to the second group for today, which is the past tense. Let's look at the 4 points in the past tense here. First one is the past simple, or just simple past tense. Simple past tense is used for actions that started and finished in the past. So for example, I taught simple present tense earlier. So I used past tense. I taught simple present tense because the action started and finished in the past. Another example, I worked all night. I worked all night. So work is my verb. I use simple past tense worked because the action started and finished in the past. Another example, a negative, they didn't come. They didn't come to the party. They didn't come to the office. The action was in the past. It refers to something that did not happen in the past. So there was no action in the past, but it's over, it's finished. So we use simple past tense to talk about these simple actions that started and finished in the past. Okay, let's go on to the past continuous tense then. Past continuous is for actions that were continuing in the past. So this one is one we often use with a specific point in time along with it. So let's look at an example first. We were listening to music. We were listening to music yesterday, or we were listening to music at 8 p.m. When were you listening to music? When was that action continuing? At 8 p.m. or yesterday. So it's common to include a point in time with this grammar point. Another example, like I was doing something, something, ing form there. So this is one that's some people have questions about, like why should I use that? When should I use that? It's typically used in response to someone's question, like what were you doing last night, for example, or what were you doing this morning? So you want to know someone's activities at a specific point in time. You can use this grammar point to respond to that question. Okay, let's move along to the past perfect tense, our next one. Past perfect tense is for actions that were completed or not completed at a non-specific point in the past, at a non-specific point in the past. So this one is kind of difficult, and it's perhaps not used quite so much in everyday conversation. This is used a bit more in writing. This is a grammar point that's especially helpful when we want to show kind of a timeline in our writing. To show that an action happened before another action in the past, we can use the past perfect tense. So here's a couple of examples. First one, they hadn't departed yet. So here, hadn't is the reduced form of had not. They hadn't departed yet. And I had taken my lunch break. So we would use sentences like these if we're telling a story. So we're telling a story about the past, and we want to show that one action happened before another action. When we want to talk about the earlier action, so the thing that happened earlier, like more in the past, we use the past perfect tense. Then we can use the simple past tense to explain the action that happened closer to the present. So for example, I had taken my lunch break when I saw the delivery man came, or something like that. So you can see my second point there. That's kind of a strange example, but you see that my second point there uses the simple past tense. I saw the delivery man came. So I had taken my lunch break further in the past when I saw the delivery man came. So that's simple past tense. So this is probably more common in writing, but it is used in speaking as well too. So this is what we use past perfect tense to do. Okay, let's move on then to another challenging point, past perfect continuous tense. Past perfect continuous. These are sentences or questions for actions that started in the past and continued to like an unspecified point in the past. So the action has finished as well. That's a key difference with the present perfect continuous. With present perfect continuous, the action is happening now still. That behavior still continues. Key point though with past perfect continuous is that the action started at some point in the past and then continued and finished as well, but at some unspecified point. So maybe we don't know exactly when the action finished, but it's done, it's complete. So let's look at an example. They had been waiting since 3 p.m. So here, they had been waiting. This shows us that there was some waiting period. So the waiting started at 3 p.m. and the waiting continued and continued and continued. We don't know when the waiting finished, but this grammar point shows us that the waiting has finished. We're finished waiting. That's done. We wanted to talk only about this period of time the people were waiting in the past. So this is the grammar point that we use to talk about things that were happening over a period of time in the past and then finished. So this is something, again, we use when telling stories. We're showing a sequence of events, actually. Okay, let's move along then to the last group for today's lesson, the future tense. Future tense. Let's start with the future simple tense. Future simple tense. This is for actions that are planned or unplanned for the future. There are actually a lot of different things we can do to make the future simple tense. Some very common ways of making future simple are through using will and won't, and going to and not going to. And earlier in this lesson, I mentioned using the continuous tense, the present continuous tense, the ing form of a verb, to make statements about the future also. So there are many ways to make simple future statements. Let's look at a couple of examples. First, I'll have a glass of wine. This uses will, I'll. I'll is the reduced form of I will have a glass of wine. That's a future statement. Also, he's going to cook dinner. In this one, I've used going to express that. So these are just simple things about planned or perhaps unplanned. Like he's not going to cook dinner would be an unplanned action in the future, or something that's not going to happen in the future, rather. Okay, so let's go on to the future continuous tense now. Future continuous tense, this is for actions you think will or will not be continuing in the future. Something you think will be continuously happening in the future. Let's look at an example. I'm not going to be working at company A. I'm not going to be working at company A. So here you can see we have going to. I'm not going to. Plus, we have a verb in the continuous tense. I'm not going to be working at company A. Meaning, in other words, I'm not going to have a job at company A, or I'm not going to continue my position at company A in the future. That's my thought now in the present about the future. So at that time in the future, like in 1 year, for example, I will not be working at that company, or I'm not going to be working at company A. So that's the idea behind the future continuous tense. Okay, let's move along to the future perfect tense then. So future perfect tense refers to actions that you think will have started some point in the future. So remember, you're thinking in the present right now. But this grammar point is used to talk about something you imagine in the future that starts at some point and you think might be continuing into the future, maybe. Something started and maybe continues. This is the idea here. So let's look at an example. I will have lived in China for 2 years. I will have lived in China. So here I'm using will to show it's a future tense statement, I will, plus have lived. This is the same thing that we use for the present perfect tense that we talked about earlier, that past participle plus have or has, but we're attaching it to a future tense will. I will have lived in China for 2 years. So when would we use this? So if, for example, someone asks you a question about your future and they say like, So where do you see yourself in like 2020, for example? Or where do you imagine you're going to live in 2020, for example? You can say, oh, I will have lived in China for 2 years. So meaning at that time, in 2020, I will have lived in China for 2 years. So that means not now, but in the future. At that point in time in the future, I will have started living in China, and that will have continued for 2 years. So that's what that means. That's a guess about the future, a future time period, that something will have continued in the future. So again, quite a challenging grammar point, but something definitely to look into. So again, not used perhaps as much as the present perfect tense, but great for storytelling and for imagining your future too. Okay, so let's move on to the last point for today's lesson, the future perfect continuous tense. Future perfect continuous. This is a tense that you use similar to the last one, but for actions you think will or won't have started and will be continuing. So something that's going to have started again in the future, something started, and the action will have continued into the future. Example. I won't have been eating meat for 3 months. I won't have been eating meat for 3 months. So for this one, let's imagine that you decided last month to stop eating meat. So that's fine, actually. For this sentence, that's okay. You made a decision last month to stop eating meat. Then someone asks you about your progress, like how's it going? Like what are you going to do next month? And you can say to yourself, well, at that point, next month, by next month in the future, you can use this sentence. I won't, so won't, negative, will not. I won't have been eating meat for 3 months. For 3 months. So that means from the point in time I started it in the past until this point in the future. So not present, but into the future. This entire time, my behavior not eating meat, that's going to have continued. So you're making a guess about the future. So at this future point in time, that behavior I started in the past will have continued and continued and continued. And at this point, it will be 3 months total for that behavior. So we use this to talk about something, some future thing that will have continued or will be continuing into the future. So will have continued, meaning something that started in the past and continues into the future, or will be continuing, meaning it's still going into the future as well. So there are a couple of like very, very subtle grammar points to consider there too. So those are a couple of maybe tough grammar points, but they're really good for storytelling and for talking about your future as well. Okay, so I know that this was a lot of information in this lesson. If you have some questions about where to find more details about any of these grammar points, you can check the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has some resources for these grammar points. There's also some information on the website. If you don't see it on the website or on the YouTube channel yet, please have a little bit of patience. We are making new stuff all the time and we'll hopefully have this available for you soon. So please keep checking back in with us. Great, so that's everything for this lesson. I hope that it was useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave a comment below the video. If you like the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for lots of other things that you can use to study English. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Imagine you're on a plane. There's someone next to you. What do you say? Hi, Alicia here. Introducing yourself in English is easy. In this lesson, you're going to learn how with Gustavo and Henry, who meet on a plane. Gustavo's moving to New York. His family is going to join him later in the month. Henry is in the seat when Gustavo gets on the plane. Let's watch.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Hi, how do you do? I'm Gustavo.
Nice to meet you, Gustavo. I'm Henry Edens.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please? A bit slowly?
Henry Edens.
Henry Edens.
That's it. But please call me Hank.
Hank, nice to meet you.
Now with subtitles.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Hi, how do you do? I'm Gustavo.
Nice to meet you, Gustavo. I'm Henry Edens.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please? A bit slowly?
Henry Edens.
Henry Edens.
That's it. But please call me Hank.
Hank, nice to meet you.
Here are the key words from the scene.
Hi,
Hi. Hi. Hi.
but,
But. But. But.
excuse me.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Two,
Two. Two. Two.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
How do you do?
How do you do? How do you do? How do you do? Here are the key phrases from the scene. How did Henry apologize when he realized he was in Gustavo's way?
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
In general, this expression, when used to respond to "excuse me," shows a friendly willingness to help the other person.
In this case, Henry wanted to show he was happy to move out of Gustavo's way.
You can also use it to apologize for a small mistake, like bumping into someone on the street or blocking someone's way in the aisle of a supermarket.
Now you try. Say Henry's line after Gustavo speaks.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Later, Gustavo also used the word sorry to apologize when he didn't understand Henry's name. Which phrase did he use?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is a very common phrase in English for many situations, but here, Gustavo uses it to indicate he didn't understand something.
Now you try. Say the line after Henry speaks.
I'm Henry Edens.
I'm sorry.
Because Gustavo did not understand something, he asked Henry to repeat what he said. To do this, what polite question did he use?
Can you say that again, please?
Can you say that again, please?
In response, English speakers will usually repeat what they have said and will use the same words.
Now you try. Ask the question after Gustavo says, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Gustavo also wanted Henry to speak more slowly. To do this, what does he ask?
A bit slowly?
A bit slowly.
This is not a complete sentence, but has a clear meaning when used after, "Can you say that again, please?" In response, English speakers will slow their speech down.
Now you try. Say the phrase after Gustavo says, Can you say that again, please?
Can you say that again, please? A bit slowly?
After Gustavo said Henry's name, Henry confirmed he said it correctly. How did he do that?
That's it.
That's it.
This is like saying, "That's correct." But since the situation was friendly, "That's it" sounded more natural.
Now you try. Say the phrase after Gustavo says Henry's name correctly.
Henry Edens.
That's it.
Now the lesson focus. Here's how to introduce yourself. Ready? Do you remember how Gustavo introduced himself?
Hi, how do you do? I'm Gustavo.
When Gustavo introduced himself, he started with "Hi," and then used a set phrase.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is a polite expression people often use with an introduction. It sounds like a question, but it has no particular meaning, and there's no expectation the other person will try to answer it.
Next, he says,
I'm Gustavo.
the first part of this sentence is a contraction of two words, I and am. The am here functions like an equal sign in math.
I'm.
I'm
The next word in the sentence is a name.
Gustavo.
Together it's.
I'm Gustavo.
The structure of the pattern is
Hi, how do you do? I'm
plus.
your name.
Now you try. Imagine your name is John. Say, hi, how do you do? I'm John.
Hi, how do you do? I'm John.
Now imagine your name is Aiko. Say, hi, how do you do? I'm Aiko. Hi, how do you do? I'm Aiko.
Now use your name.
Okay, there are two additional things you need to know. First, there's a shortcut for giving your name.
Just drop the I'm from the final sentence of the self-introduction.
For example, if Gustavo just said,
Hi, how do you do? Gustavo.
Henry would have understood it was his name.
This would be especially clear if Gustavo extended his hand for a handshake while saying this.
In very casual situations, you can even drop the hi and the how do you do. All that is left would be your name.
The second thing you need to know is you can use I'm with just the first name or your first name and the last name together.
I'm Henry Edens.
Edens is Henry's family name.
Using both your first name and your last name is a little more formal.
It also gives you less privacy. For example, if people know both your first and last name, they can find you on the internet more easily.
So it may be more common for strangers to say just their first name than people meeting in a more friendly environment.
Next, you'll learn how to tell people to call you by a nickname, just like Henry did in the scene.
But please call me Hank.
But please, call me Hank.
The first word in the sentence is.
But
This word is not necessary, but it makes the transition to the rest of the sentence smoother.
Henry uses this to introduce a new piece of information.
And this information changes something about what he said before, but makes this clear.
The next word introduces a polite request.
Please.
Please.
Next is a request to use a certain name.
Call.
Call.
After this is the word
Me.
me.
Last is a common nickname for men named Henry.
Hank.
Hank.
Please call me Hank.
The sentence structure is
Please, call me.
plus.
Your nickname.
Now you try. Imagine your nickname is Matt. Say, please call me Matt.
Please, call me Matt.
Now imagine your nickname is Lulu. Say, please call me Lulu.
Please, call me Lulu.
Now use your own nickname. Say, please call me, and then use your nickname.
Finally, when you meet someone for the first time, it's polite to say a set phrase at the end.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Usually, both people will say this or something similar to it.
Now you try.
Nice to meet you.
Now it's time to practice your new ability. Let's practice.
This is your chance to introduce yourself. Try to remember what you learned and practice by speaking aloud.
It's your first day in the US, and you're meeting your new neighbor. Ready? Here we go.
What's the first thing you say to someone you've just met? Hi, how do you do?
How do you tell someone your name?
I'm name.
I'm Henry Edens.
How do you tell someone your nickname? Please call me your nickname.
Please call me Hank.
What's the last thing you say to someone you've just met?
Nice to meet you.
Great job. You've just introduced yourself. You'll follow this same pattern many times, so be sure to practice it.
Well done. Now, watch the scene one more time. After that, go and practice with all your American friends, or with us in the comments. Bye!
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Hi, how do you do? I'm Gustavo.
Nice to meet you, Gustavo. I'm Henry Edens.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please? A bit slowly?
Henry Edens.
Henry Edens.
That's it. But please call me Hank.
Hank, nice to meet you.
Yeah! Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to be talking about tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are phrases that are difficult to say, so they're really good chances to practice your pronunciation. Let's go. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. This one's difficult because of the s and sh sounds. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. That one's not so bad. Okay, we'll move on. Next. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. I've never seen this before. Okay. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. That's a good one. That's a good one. I feel like you could have thrown the word like but in there somewhere too. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. Ah, that's a good one. It's very bubbly. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. It's like if I knew the words, I could probably say it faster. Betty Botter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. Butter's bitter. Bitter, butter, bitter. But she bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. Is this enough? I don't know when to stop. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? The next tongue twister is also a classic one about woodchucks. Woodchucks are real creatures that exist on the west coast of the United States, primarily in Washington and Oregon. They're like beavers, but they don't live in rivers. They live in like forests and rocks. The tongue twister is, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And then there's a common response to that, which is, it would chuck all the wood that a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. We definitely talked about this one in that English topics episode we did about tongue twisters. Lesser leather, never weathered, wetter weather better. Oh, I've never seen this. Lesser leather, never weathered, wetter weather better? Hang on, I'm just like astounded by the grammar of this sentence. Lesser leather, never weathered, wetter weather better. Oh, that's hard. It's the wetter weather better, wetter weather better part. Those last three words. Lesser leather, never weathered, wetter better. Lesser leather, never weathered, wetter weather better. Weather better. Weather. It's the weather better that's hard. Weather better. Weather better. Weather better. Weather better. Yeah, that's it. Lesser leather, never weathered. Weather better. Ah, on to the next one. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Did you write these? Did you write these? Did you find these on the internet? Someone's brilliant. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? That one's a good one. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which witch would watch which watch? Ah, all right, that's the end. Wow, those are really good tongue twisters. The one that always gets me from that episode of English Topics that we did was Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Hard one. And one we came up with the other day was sushi session. It's a good one, right? Yeah. They were like, let's go for a sushi session. I was like, that's hard. Sushi session, sushi. Ah, that's a really good one too. Irish wristwatch and sushi session. All right, so those are Those are tongue twisters. Give them a try. They are really, really great ways to practice your pronunciation. If you know any other tongue twisters, please share them with us in a comment so that we can all give them a try. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Top Words. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks very much for watching this episode, and we'll see you again soon. Bye. Oh my God, I want to have this job where I just sit at like my desk and I just think of, that's probably what somebody does, like they're bored at their job and then they just think of these sorts of things. Now that you're finished with this lesson, want to know if your English skills have improved? Take our free assessment test to assess your language, discover your true learning level, and get free access to a language course for your specific level. An easy-to-follow course where you learn the real language, the everyday conversations that you'll soon have, and absorb these practical conversations just by listening along, with quick audio and video lessons from real teachers. So click the link in the description and sign up for a free lifetime account to get assessed.